Welcome to the Grinder's Verdict podcast. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Dadmy Grinder, and today we have a guest that changed my perspective on the internet. Not only that, but he pushed me from being just a bystander letting time go by into someone who actively pursues assisting those in need in this grim world of the internet. His name is Ron, and he runs a channel on YouTube called Surviving Life, which I highly recommend taking a look at because he aims to raise awareness and show you how tough and disturbing the world can be, emphasizing both the clearnet and the deep web. Ron, welcome to the Grinder's Verdict podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. What's going on, man?
It's a pleasure to be here, Grinder. Thank you very much. Yeah, what can I say? It's a crazy world out there, and especially when some very dark individuals start leeching onto the deep web, I feel these things need pointed out, because until I realized they were there, I never knew about them, and I always considered myself fairly queued up on what goes on online. And once you start peering into the darkness, it is a lot worse than you can possibly imagine. So yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, because I use the internet for, well, a good amount of years now. And I've always been kind of like on the offside of things. Like, I use the web. I know what's going on. Well, I know what goes on to a certain extent, but then I never knew how much shit goes on with this fucking thing. It's like,
yeah, it's insane. And we all have ideas in our head of what the topics that I cover are like, general people. But it's when you start seeing the subsections of these communities and you start hearing the things they talk about and the things that they're requesting and that they fantasize about. And it's dark, man. I mean, it is real dark, some of the stuff that you see on the deep web. And I just want to make it clear from the get-go that I've been doing this almost 5 years now, and never have I been exposed to any of the content that I'm trying to eradicate from the web. It's very easy to go on to the deep web and make sure none of the images load and things like that. So I protect myself from that. So I just want to make that clear at the start, because it's always a common question. How do you deal with seeing all this stuff? Well, I don't see it. That's because why would you want to see it? You know what I mean? So yeah, just to clear that up from the start. But once you start peering in, and once you start looking at the communities and the forums and how they interact with each other, and just how, a fishing community or a bushcraft community all have their little subsections of people, these communities also have their subsections. And it's just when you start passively learning their culture and the things that they say and how they interact, it becomes easier to spot them, for sure. But it plays with your mind, man. Plays with your mind.
I agree. And I also noticed that your channel, and as you said, has been around for like 5 years.
5 years, man.
What exactly made you start your channel back then?
Oh, prepping. It was all about prepping for me back then. Was hooked on a channel called Funky Prepper, a UK guy who, to be honest with you, the prepping is something that back then I was into for years before YouTube. And then when it went super mainstream and people were showcasing it, and then the community started growing on YouTube, I thought, I really want to be part of that. So started doing my outdoor camping and my prepping videos and all that kind of stuff. And it was the first time where I joined a subcategory of anywhere on the internet, and there was no negative energy. It was all just positive. So it was unique in that sense. And I was hooked. It wasn't about the views. It was about the community and meeting people and interacting and all the rest of it. But that's what started me was the prepping and the bushcraft community. And, it's still something that I'm in to this day. I'm still prepping. I'm still camping. I'm still doing all that. It's, still a part of my life.
When did you have the idea to make the deep web videos?
Yeah.
And what exactly made you start the deep web videos?
Okay. So about 4.5 years ago, the first big wave of deep web videos really hit YouTube in a massive way. There were some big channels, and I just got interested. And as a parent, when the pink meth scandal started blowing up and people started learning about the revenge porn and the blackmail hackers and all this kind of stuff, that was when I was like, Jesus, like I'm a big, I need to see if this is true for myself kind of guy. And that's what sort of drew me to it, was no, it can't be this bad. It can't be this bad. That's what I thought in my head. I never believed any of the creepypastas, like this whole, I logged on to a website and then came home and there was like a note left for me on my computer from a guy from the deep web. I mean, they're great stories. They're great myths, but come on. So I never bought into any of that. And yeah, I mean, that's what got me onto it, was the people making the videos and the worries that this was actually a reality, and wanting to go and just see for myself, because it was so terrifying that someone could log into my daughter's phone or her PC, film her coming out the shower or getting changed for school or something like this, and then use that to further, blackmail or sextort her into producing more pornographic images and content. That was terrifying. So I did a video years ago where I'm sitting just ranting about this, about pink meth and about how terrifying it is and all the rest. And that was really the catalyst that got me onto the deep web. And then when I seen everything that was going on, and then it snowballed into the myths and legends of the red rooms, and then this all sort of timed perfectly with the ISIS red room with the Syrian soldiers that was going on at the time. And there was just so much, and it sucked me in. It sucked me in hard. And I'd done a couple of series of videos, and then it was a weird moment in my YouTube life where I felt like I was abandoning my old audience to try and pursue a new audience. And you feel weird, when you've been clawing away to get a couple of thousand subscribers. You don't want to alienate people, Yeah, but it had to be done. And as time went on, I did less and less deep web stuff, and then I took a year off from YouTube. And really, it's only been the last sort of year, I would say, where I've been really back and looking at the content and going, how can I make this not garbage? Because when you've got like 700 videos and, nobody's really interested, and you want to start taking it more seriously, you've got to sort of start looking at where you can make cost-effective improvements. So that's what I started to do, and that's where it kind of snowballed to where we are now, really. Well, actually, I'll continue my rant for just one more minute. There was another YouTuber called Chills who used one of my deep web videos from 4 years ago in a video that he done, top 10 scariest deep web videos, and one of them was mine. And that's what really gave me the traction at the end of last year. It was a few extra thousand subs, and I thought, you know what? Let's go back and let's just hit the deep web hard. And that's what I did. And the rest is just snowballing into where we're at now, really. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant. I do apologize.
No, not at all, by all means, man. Just like you told me multiple times during your live stream, you're the guest here, so yeah. But basically, I think there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest with you. I mean, you found an opportunity, and I got to be honest with you, man. I love your fucking editing. I think your editing is fucking great.
Thanks, man.
I like the way you put the font onto the videos, the way you do like the little glitching effects and everything. I like that the whole thing. I like it. So, I mean, by all means, keep on doing it. I mean, if it's growing your channel and if it's getting you somewhere where you want to be, by all means.
Do you know where I'm at now with the grinder, right? The whole investigating the pedophiles, and we're about to launch a new series where we're telling the survivors' stories, where some people are anonymous and there's voice acting involved and all the rest. And I never realized when I made that documentary that things were going to go the way they did. When I said, if anyone's got any stories they want to share, they can use the platform. It just went crazy. And the response I've had has been incredible. These people are the things that they've overcome and the strength that they've found in order to write down the worst experience of their life to try and inspire hope in others is just incredible. So I see this now as way bigger than me. You know what I mean? I feel like in some weird way, I've been chosen to do this. It's all about the survivors. I want to tell their story. And then I've got this new documentary and a new series coming, but it all focuses around the same sort of subject matter. It's all about exposing those who wish to oppress. I think that's the best way to sum it up, whether it's pedophiles and kids, or weirdos that like crushing animals, or people that kidnap, fully grown adults and keep them in freaking boxes in their basement for years on end. These are the sort of things I want to watch, but I never seem to find a 90-minute documentary. I find a 15-minute video, and you just can't sum up a topic in a 10 or 15-minute video. You can't. So I just kind of make the things that I feel I would want to sit and watch, if that makes sense. I mean, it makes me sound like a bit of a twisted individual with regards to what I like to watch, but I like documentaries.
Aren't we all?
I think we are a little. I think the fact that I've produced it.
Have you seen what's the most popular shit on YouTube for like last year or 2 years or so? It's just spooky haunted houses and all that shit. It's what makes it the most on YouTube, man. Deep web opening mystery boxes.
God.
Like,
oh my God. I swear to God, right? I swear to God. See the deep web mystery boxes. I swear, I kind of wish I'd cashed in on that bullshit. Like, I kind of wish that.
Man, I found I was browsing the deep web not too long ago. I think it was last week. And I was on the paste bin bullshit. And I found a fucking website there. Wait, actually, I think it might have been a chat. There's like you have a fuck ton of chats on the deep web. But I found one that is basically, it's kind of cool, actually. I talked about like a pedo killer, and somebody was like, yo, pedo killer. Yeah, I'm down for that. So it seems like there wasn't a fuck ton of pedos, because, man, it's something that pisses me off about the deep web, is like the amount of fucking pedos that shit says.
It's shocking. But anyways, it's shocking.
It is really shocking. And I found this website, and it's basically a dude that claims he sells like these mystery bags.
A mystery
on the
bag.
Deep web. I was like, oh, fuck it.
That sounds even sketchier than a box. It's a bag. It's an unknown bag. It's a homeless dude who gets access to Wi-Fi once a month. That's what that is. It's a scary old homeless freaking business plan, for sure.
Dude, the background of the website is literally like the face of a dude, all darkened with some noise to it. It's like, I mean, dude, come on, like, stop being so edgy. Come on,
like
dude.
that's an interesting point you bring up about site design on the deep web, right? Because a lot of the time, the sites that are most suspicious are the ones that look like they've been done by a surface web designer. Do you know what I mean? The ones that look like a forum from 1982 when. Those are the terrifying ones, dude. Those are the ones that are like, oh, this is just text in a really simple, format. It's those are the ones that scare me. The forums, the communities, they're the ones that are always the most like, oh my God, are all my security things on? Yes. Okay, let's continue. Like,
so. Yeah. I have another question here in regards to your content. I wanted to ask you if you went for the horrors of the deep web, because most people at the time was doing the usual browsing through the deep web without any goals in particular. Did you go for the horrors because there was not really anybody doing it? So you saw an opportunity there to show what you knew and
I'm
stuff.
just not that sort of person who can be like, oh, I'm just browsing the deep web. Oh, here's a hitman site. Oh, here's a buy cocaine site. Oh, here's a forum with 75,000 active pedophiles on it. Oh, we'll just put that out. I can't. How can I put that out of my mind? I mean, literally, I've had the police in my house discussing the best course of action for reporting these sites and investigating them, because I need to know. I need to know what has to be done, because this 75,000 active pedophiles, right, on a forum where in order to gain access to the forum, you have to supply them with child porn content. In order to stay on the forum, you have to keep uploading new child porn content every month. So if there's 75,000 active members, that's 75,000 kids getting abused every month just so people can be sharing this madness. And this site, when you go...
Right, so that's something I want to ask. So do they have like a system to check for
I'm assuming
shit? So it has to be
I'm assuming so. There was a documentary that I watched about how the admins on there was another site out in Australia, basically, and this guy was an Australian government worker assigned to deal with high-risk children, And of course, he's a hardcore pedophile monster with the biggest pedophile site on the internet at that time. And the police arrested him.
Oh, you're talking about Scully?
No, I'm not. This is how fucked up it is. This is another one. So this was the original site where you had to upload stuff. And it was a really famous case. I can't remember the name of the site or the name of the guy. I'm terrible for that. But the police took over the site and they started running the site. They closed it to new members, so obviously nobody could upload any new content. And they started going through the members and picking them off one by one. But I'm assuming, right, that in the same way as when we've got an open source platform for, say, open office, right? And we've got a whole bunch of programmers who happen to not be pedophiles working together to make open source software. The same thing exists in the pedophile world. Like if there's 75,000 active members, you can guarantee a shit ton of them are IT guys battering out some stuff for the site for clout.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to program the super pedo fucking add-on fucking bullshit child rape app. Brilliant. That's fucking great, you fucking sick bastard. But that clout exists. It exists in the same way as it exists in our world. It exists in their world. And it is grim. It is grim.
Right.
It's grim. But
another thing is, one of the most disturbing things to think about is that these fuckers are with us. They walk with us. Sometimes they do everything that we do, and it's like sometimes we cannot even know. And
do you know how right you are? Right, you're so right. I think the only way that I've learned to deal with it, right, is just adopt the attitude that the only person you know that isn't fucking any kids is yourself.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Just assume everyone is there to try and rape your kids, and just adopt that mindset, and your kids will be safe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it sounds so fucking stupid, but 75,000 active members, that's just one community. That's just one community, you know? And we're talking policemen, school teachers, every form of high level, mid level, low level religious person, freaking the paper boy, maybe not the paper boy, but the milkman, you know, just assume they're all banging kids, and then you'll be closer to on par with just assuming the world's a nice place. And listen, hey, the world is a nice place. I'm just saying there's just a lot of fucking evil bastards out there that
absolutely.
I don't know what's wrong with it, Mal. I really don't.
Think I have a sort of a solution. Like, the thing I would do is I would create an organization. You know how you have all these organizations that basically just spend their time on Facebook? I would create an organization that would actually step in. And what I would do is basically I would get a clearance and licenses and legitimize or whatever the fuck it's said. But I would make everything legit, licensed, cleared from the government, from the World Organization, everything. Okay, it would be the most legitimate fucking organization in the goddamn world. And then what would happen is I would train, not me, but I would hire people that would train specific individuals willingly to join and sign up for this. And then we would train them to be pedo killers. And this wouldn't be your typical vigilante hooded guy who just wants to be, you know, probably trying to redeem themselves from some bullshit they did. This would be like a legit organization, okay? And then this would go two ways, in my opinion. One, you just get them all, or two, which is my most clear opinion on this, because you just can't get them all. They're just going to keep coming. But two, you scare them so fucking much that they just don't reveal anything. They don't do anything. It's like
the problem is right. What you'll do is the ones that you scare, they'll just move to another city. Right. That's the first thing, right?
Oh no, this is a world thing, man. This is not just
tag
here.
Them. You just want to tag them. You just go, you fucking kids. Yep. All right, come here. Tag. You're tagged. You're done.
No, dead. Immediately.
Oh, dead. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That works too. But on a practical point of view, right? See if every single person that hated pedophiles, right, put their heads together and actually tried to come up with a practical fucking solution, right? We might fucking get somewhere, right? But people get so caught up in the emotion of, like, basically anything less than murder is, I feel like, I'm a bad person for suggesting anything less than that. Do you know what I mean? Hey, if we could just do a Thanos finger snap, right? And everyone the fuck kids just vaporized, that'd be brilliant.
That's kind of what this organization would do, but in a different way.
Oh no, I mean like in Thanos, never making a mistake, no fucking like, you know, misfires or fucking dodgy information, then yeah, I'm down with that. But my fucking God, could you imagine the shitstorm of false accusations by crazy bitches trying to kill their exes or crazy guys trying to kill their exes that you'd have to shift through? I mean,
that's something I thought of when I had this idea, because when I have ideas, they just come out of my ass, but then I actually put some thought into them.
I'm the same.
So I actually, you know, obviously you can't just go off on a killing spree with anybody. Hey, that guy's a pedophile. Kill him. You know, you can't do this, right? So it's got to be something more of, it's got to be, you know, the bureaucracies and all that shit. You got to go through some investigation first. You can't just go off killing everybody that's considered a pedophile by someone else. Because as you just said, some crazy bitch, hey, I don't like that guy, killed him. You know, so yeah, we can't have none of that. So, but I mean, I like psychology a lot. What do you think goes through these people's minds? Do you think, like, I think it's sort of like an experience from the past when they were growing up, or if they were abused, or if they were touched, or something like that.
You know, I used to think that too. I used to think that when you think about pedophiles, you just think about, what turned them into this? And that's what I used to think. I have literally interviewed pedophiles who feel like they're doing nothing wrong. If a 12-year-old girl or a 13-year-old girl comes on to them and they just let it happen. Like, they feel like they have never came onto a girl. They've just let them all come to them. That conversation, by the way, did not go the way I thought it would. Like, I did not expect a pedophile to turn around and be like, yeah, so basically young teenage women just gravitate to me and I just let it happen. And it's just like, what in the actual fuck? Like, you don't expect someone to talk so casually. You don't expect them to talk so nonchalantly. And the reason that I find it interesting, either interviewing active pedophiles or pedophiles that have never been caught but are trying to not offend or whatever, right? Bullshit. Is because as a normal person, you and I only really see pedophiles on the TV, right? And it's either in police custody or it's after they've left prison and it's like a follow-up story on how good it is that they're not fucking kids anymore, right? But it's almost like they're in a position where they have to incite guilt. They have to show that they've changed. They have, regardless of how they feel on the inside, they can't talk freely because they're on fucking national television. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when you're talking to one of these fucking people on an encrypted chat network on the deep web or through talks or whatever, and they can speak freely, it's a totally different fucking animal that you're listening to, because there's no guilt. There's no incarceration. There's nothing. There's just a predator on the loose talking casually about his fucking hunting experiences. And it's fucked. Those are the things that really, those are the nights where I've done interviews like that. Those are the nights where I sit up and I'm sort of staring at the wall for a good hour, just like, fuck. Like, Jesus Christ. And it's weird because I often think to myself, why am I fucking doing this? Like, why am I doing this? If this was the right thing to do, surely other people would be interviewing these people or reporting them in journalism. And see, every time I fucking feel like that, I just fucking do it. Because I feel like that's the sort of journalism. That's the sort of journalism that I want to be doing, is the stuff that other people just don't fucking do.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I saw snippets of an interview with Scully from like a journalist.
Yeah, the Australian chick.
Yeah. And it's like, I look at her and I'm like, how are you doing that? I mean, this guy's a fucking arrogant piece of shit.
Yeah.
I would just strangle the motherfucker right there.
I don't know if I could do a face-to-face in-room interview. Like, there's a big,
dude.
She looked like she was going to smash his fucking face in at one point. Like,
true. Like, yeah, but still.
I mean, you've got to remember as well, we're talking about a caged predator here. You know, it's not like it was an active predator or she sat in a room by herself or anything like that. And I mean, from a journalistic point of view, from a news reporting point of view, I think it's important that people sit in rooms with these animals and look them in the face and stick a camera in their face and make them fucking answer for what they've done. You know what the world is like. We like staring into the darkness from the comfort of our living room. You know, it's just what we like to do.
But Scully, man, his attitude was such fucking arrogance, man. He was like, he was even promoting the book. Yeah. Hey, I'm in jail now for being a pedophile, and now here's my book. Like,
you cannot,
I'm gonna kill you.
You cannot be of the mindset that guy is not getting daily interview requests. Of course he is, right? There's no fucking way that guy's doing anything unless it's going to benefit him. And since there was a hold put on the book, or there's some legality now with his book not happening, and he just doesn't speak. You know, there's no reason for him to speak now if he can't plug the book. And that dude, I was the exact same. I was sitting there just like, oh my God, if there was ever a time for like an engine to fall off the wing of a plane, right, and just fall on someone. This is the opportunity. He sat right there. He sat right fucking there, man. Just fucking boom, straight down. But I mean, he'll never leave prison, and how he's escaping the death penalty and all this is just beyond me. It's crazy. But we'll see. Only time will tell.
In Australia, Australians, they're going through a bunch of like pedo problems, man. Like, I think did I see this in your documentary?
Yeah. There's
I think you talked about like some interview, right, from like an Australian guy. There's this, they say it's okay and it's all right to have sex with consent.
Yep, that was...
Children cannot consent to that shit. It's like if you give children sugar, they want fuck tons of sugar. Yep. You idiotic individual. If you give them a fucking little bit of sugar, they want more and more and more and more because they don't understand the dangers that it could possibly bring.
You don't even have to compare it to sugar. Let's compare it to legal marijuana, alcohol, and driving licenses. You know what I'm saying? Kids shouldn't have them either. Okay? Like, I mean, they all have age limits on them for a fucking reason. You know what I'm saying? Kids will kill themselves. They're not responsible. They cannot make decisions. They're vulnerable. They're fucking kids. End of story. Exactly. But yeah, I honestly, I'm so bad for this. I know the guy you were talking about. It was the guy from Pi, and Pi were a UK organization in the 70s and 80s that tried to actively reduce the age of consent in the UK to 4. So you can imagine the kind of top class individuals that were part of that enterprise. And they were fucking huge, dude. Like, they were no small potato. They were a massive, massive organization. Massive. 4 years old, dude. Yeah, 4. Like...
Oh, man.
Yeah, like it takes a fucked up individual, right, to do what they do. It takes an even more fucked up individual to wake up one morning and go, do you know what? I'm going to go public with this and try and change the law to 4. What the fuck? That is batshit crazy madness. I mean, what? Sorry, mate. You're trying to what? You try to change it to 4? I mean, why someone didn't just stick a biro through the guy's eye right there and then in the council office, just wallop. I mean, that's why I do this on the internet. Like, I'll be honest with you. There's just, I don't know how I would act. I just don't know how I would be able to, I just don't know. I don't know how I would act.
And you keep all images hidden, no cameras, no nothing for that sort of stuff. It's like, it's just text, right?
For talking to the pedos on the deep web, yeah, it's all just text, man. And yeah, there's never any media exchange or anything like that. I make it clear from the start that I'm a journalist. I'm here to report on this and to ask them questions. I'm not here to, call them fucking names or anything like that. I don't even know how to sum up why I'm there. I always just say it's for a documentary. It's for a documentary. But I feel the more information I can gather that's come from an unfiltered, unbiased, active child predator, the better I understand and prepare and equip myself mentally for their tactics, if that makes sense.
I think what you're doing is good because it's kind of it brings awareness to the people that maybe don't really deal with any individual like this, and maybe they don't even know that these individuals are out there amongst us and living with us and working with us, and they have no fucking idea. I mean, the case of Carl Harold, right? The motherfucker was praised amongst the computer world because he was a programmer and had his own YouTube channel and whatnot. Turns out the motherfucker was, doing child production or child pornography with his own fucking kid who was a baby still, and with others. And we had a fucking accomplice and everything. And eventually it was found out. And then everybody was like, no, I can't believe this individual did this. Which is exactly kind of going for a segue here. But it's I feel so nauseated when people say that Maddie's parents could never do anything to the kid. And it's how naive do you have to be to not understand that parents are sometimes pieces of shit? It's like
the people when I talk to them about 9/11, and I'm like, listen, there's probably more to that story. I'm not saying right it was George Bush. I'm just saying it probably wasn't like 5 dudes in a cave in Afghanistan, right? So we need to question some stuff, right? It's the same fucking circle of people that believe Madeleine McCann's parents are telling the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, it's I mean, I'm not being funny, but sometimes I get a little bit envious of just how fucking naive some people are, right? And I'm just like, man, to be that fucking ignorant to everything that's going on and just wake up every morning and worry about normal shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Normal shit, like what you're going to do this weekend, or, just, I don't even know, because it's been that fucking long since I did normal shit. It's so weird. I mean, I don't wish that, but there's moments where I'm just like, oh man, see if I could just Men in Black flash pen myself, right? That pen in Men in Black that erases the memory. Like sometimes I just think to myself how much easier it would be to just live my life with my head up my ass, like I consider a lot of people that do. And that's another reason why I edit the way that I do. Because when we're talking about child abuse, no one has the fucking right to close their eyes or look away or pretend it's not happening. I don't give a fuck who you are or what you think. You don't have the right. And that's why I edit things in such a way that it's difficult to avoid the reality, and I like it when I get DMs from people that say, it took me fucking 3 days to watch your last documentary because I kept getting rage fits, or there was parts that really upset me. And that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to stick with you after you've watched it. It's not meant to be something you watch and then you wake up the next day and you've forgotten about it. It stays with you. And I always feel a little sense of pride when someone tells me that it's taken them a couple of days to watch something, because that's how it should be. It should be difficult. It should be hard to hear, hard to watch, hard to understand and grasp. Once you've seen a father sit down and talk to his 6-year-old daughter about their sex life together, it's like, right, okay, yeah, the world's completely fucked, and no one, once they see that, it's when I seen that for the first time, that bit of video footage, it was the first time that my thought went to the place, not just about the acts of a pedophile, but the conversations of a pedophile. Like, we don't think about the conversations that go on. I mean, who the fuck would want it? Nobody. But now I've seen that, and it's like, fuck, these conversations fucking take place, and it's crazy, because why would we think about that as normal people? We wouldn't consider it. The main fucking act that they do is the fucking worst of the worst in our head, but there's so much more that these fucking poor kids go through. It is off the chart mind games, and it is manipulation at the highest fucking levels when you've got a father who's convinced their daughter at 6 years old that it's all right for them to be fucking each other. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Even that
every time you say that, I literally have zero answers.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to reply to that, man.
Dude, I know. Believe me. And when I interviewed that pedophile the last time, he was telling me about when he was married, first of all, and he used to sexually abuse his 5-year-old daughter. His fantasy or his end game was to wait until she was old enough to impregnate her so they could have a baby together. And she's now 22 and still comes over and fucking sucks his dick. Like, this is the craziness of it all. This is how the conversation didn't go the way that I went, because I felt like this guy was living like the pedo fucking life. You know? It was like, this fucking guy is talking so nonchalant about this. His fucking daughter comes around and does that. It is just like, what the actual fuck? You know, the pedophile.
And there goes a woman who could be a great woman and with issues probably for the rest of her life.
Dude, of course she's got issues.
Who doesn't know if she's not a pedo herself, right?
I actually asked him that. I actually asked him if she was a pedophile. And apparently she isn't. But she's still not up for having a baby with her dad. So, yeah. Fucking crazy, dude. I mean, there's pedophiles. Then you've got the pedophile family. We are talking about men who are actively seeking women, who are actively seeking men to get together to have a baby for the guy to then impregnate or to use the kid amongst pedophile circles. I mean, this is a normal thing for them. This is just like,
yeah, you found that the little page with a bunch of tickets or whatever.
Yeah, that was exactly it. But the guy that I interviewed, that was his plan. That's his end game, is to try and have a pedophile family. And it's fucking insane. And why would you think that was a thing unless you decided to go on the deep web and fucking nose around? And, you know, you think to yourself, why? I just wanted to make camping videos. Do you know what I mean?
I have a suggestion for that individual and a possible pedophile female.
So do I. Just go down to the train tracks, right? And I'm going to play a little game called Listen for the Train, okay? So if you just put your head in the line, right, Mr. Pedophile, and just lie there until you can hear the train, and that's all you need to do. Just stay there, and that's it. That's what. In fact, there's any pedophiles listening right now, just go and do that, all right? So, yeah.
I was going to go for a little bit of a mental game.
Okay.
And physical as well.
Okay.
I would just put those two individuals in a locked house, like a regular house, you know, a small apartment, probably one bedroom for the couple. That's enough. But yeah, it's completely locked up, so they cannot go outside. They're completely locked up in there with both of them, or with each other. And so basically, people will bring them things like the police or whatever's in charge of taking care of them. But yeah, it'll have a little trap door or whatever it's called, you know, for them to just have food and stuff.
Okay,
yeah. And whenever, if there's ever a kid coming out of her, it's taken immediately from them. So, and that's how they live their lives until they die. It's just the two pedophiles, the man and the woman.
You know what?
But they have no contact with kids whatsoever.
It's too much money for the government to run a situation like that. Just also as well, any pedophiles that are listening, don't go and lie on the railway track, because that poor fucking driver will probably be fucking psychologically scarred for the rest of his life. Just take a bunch of pills and go and lie in a sewer. Like, open up a sewer hole, go in there, and the rats will eat you. Sure, the poor sewer worker will find you, but it's probably not the first time, to be honest. Let's be honest, the sewers are pretty crazy.
Or just reach out to me. I have a bunch of woods up nearby.
It's oh my God, like, there's just so many of them. And like, for me, you know, I've got a huge community of people that like to come up with some creative ways as to what they would do with pedophiles, or any abusers, really. I mean, it's fascinating, some of the things that we come up with, but it's just it's such a massive fucking issue, and I really don't know where to begin with it. I mean, I'm exposing stuff, but, you know, is it really having an impact? I hope the awareness and people that who didn't know the true extent of it all are certainly getting something from it. But it's so hard to feel like you're having an impact, if I'm being honest, because these sites are like the story of the snake, where you cut the snake's head off and then it grows two more heads. You know what I mean? It's just exactly what it's like.
That's a really good point. So first of all, I have to say, I think you're having an impact because, again, as I mentioned in the introduction, I didn't really care about this before watching your videos and your stuff. And only then I started, you mentioned Academy Awareness. I joined Academy Awareness, and I've been in the Discord and reporting YouTube channels and stuff like that. So clearly that's got to be an impact.
Well, that's
of
good.
some sort.
That's awesome.
And there's a lot of channels and whatnot that have been brought down because of Academy Awareness. So in regards to, what was the second point you made?
Oh Jesus, asking me to remember stuff. That's it.
I think we have the same problem, right? But anyways, so I think, it's a good thing that you're doing, and it's, right, I remembered what I was going to talk about. The YouTube deal, the YouTube and the clearnet deal. Not too long ago, like a few days ago, I was on the Academy Awareness, just having a chat with Reaps and
oh my
people
god,
there.
yeah, Reaps.
And we decided to go on
Reaps will ruin the internet for you, man. He will ruin the internet in about 5 minutes for you. Like anyone who wants to test how fucked up the surface web is, just join my Discord and send Reaps a message and say, "Can you ruin the surface web for me?" And in about 30 seconds, he will show you shit. Like, you'll find stuff on YouTube, right? You'll just be sitting there having your morning coffee, and all of a sudden it's ding, 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 and it's Reaps posting screenshots of like 12 live feeds that he's found on YouTube of like young kids who are now being groomed in their comment section. And he's, I imagine Reaps is sitting with like 6 arms and 4 keyboards and 12 monitors, just like. But the stuff that this guy does and the stuff that his team at Exposing Exploitation, they are on point with how to find these creepy motherfuckers. And I don't mean necessarily on the deep web. I mean the ones that are sat right in front of your face, or worse of all, in front of your kid's face. Yep. Omegle, on Snapchat, on freaking Instagram, everywhere. In fact, just pick an app. They've found some fucking pedos on it. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, man. But man, Reaps YouTube is just, he's on point.
I mean, YouTube is just, you have the bored rabbit holes. You go on that, and it's like, I'm bored. But you just have a fuck ton of kids that apparently are bored. I have to say something about that. When I was a fucking teenager, I was not bored for one single fucking second. I had consoles, I had internet, I had this, I had that. Of course, it was the internet, in the early 2000s, but still, I was not bored one single fucking time. I was always
got a theory about this, right? Because when I was like 16 years old, and at that age where, I'm looking for some women at that age, you know what I'm saying? Like, life's different. If I wanted to see an actual boob, I had to go and find an actual boob. Do you know what I'm saying? Dial up internet. There was no Pornhub when I was a kid. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, there's a direct link between how easily you can just crack one out and how much effort it takes to go outside. Really. I know that sounds crazy.
True. But I think it's also because these kids nowadays have so many fucking options that they just get confused and they have no idea what to do. And that's why they're always bored. I mean, we didn't have many options. We still used dial-up connections. So, I mean, I played World of Warcraft, but I could play World of Warcraft on a limited little thing. I couldn't just play World of Warcraft whatever time I wanted.
Like I say, I think I've got an extra 10 years on you. And I often laugh about the fact that I can clearly remember getting a PC with 12 meg of RAM and thinking this was just out of this fucking world, man. 12 meg of RAM. Like, that was like spaceship shit back then, man. 12 meg and dial-up internet. Do you know what I mean? It was crazy. AOL would send you a CD through the post like fucking every other week. Crazy. It's crazy. Different times, man. It's different internet times. It's crazy. The phone.
Yeah, we didn't have AOL, but all the companies, the ISP companies providing DSL service here in Portugal, all of them sent those CDs as well. It would come with magazines or sometimes just
it's crazy,
randomly.
man. You have any idea how much much money it would cost to send a CD every week to everyone in Portugal?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking crazy, dude.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially in this fucking town, this little town lost in the middle of nowhere in the center of the country. There's a shop in
Edinburgh.
And then you would have to contact them so that you could set up everything, and then they would send you the pack.
It was crazy.
The dial-up modem, and
dude, this was. Man, of course they have.
Times have changed.
Dude, I remember having a pager and thinking I was in the future, like a pager, like the pager days. Like, I don't even know if you were a part of the pager days, but I had a pager. It was fucking baseball.
They were not a thing.
Now, it was clearly when they'd figured out how to make text messages, but just hadn't thought about implicating them in the limited cell phones that were out at the point. So you'd phone the pager and it would be a woman on the phone and be like, hello, pager service. And you would just say your message and it would just beep on the pager. It was a beautiful time, man. It was a simpler time. If you wanted music, you had to go and buy it on a plastic disc. You know, it was simpler times, man. But hey, it's unfortunate that the technology and the options we have as a human race, right? 90% of the things that scientists come up with, microchips in you and all the rest of it, these are good ideas. They're all fantastic ideas. It's just unfortunate that the people that implicate them are fucking lunatics and cannot be trusted at all. You know what I mean? And that's the sad thing. That's the sad thing about humanity is we're always going to be run and led by an illusion, because I think we all know deep down inside that the people that say they're making decisions for the world, I don't really feel that they are. There's too many people out there just fucking kids. Too many politicians, too many world elites. There's too many large groups that have too much secrecy to them, and it's just, if you ask me, as a race, I think we've fucked ourselves past resolution. I think there's too many of us now to sit down. Could you imagine, right, in your hometown right now, how long do you think it would take for your little city or your town to come up to an agreement to change the color of the paint that they use for putting the lines on the roads? Yeah, an insignificant fucking decision. I guarantee you it would be closer to a decade than a year, let's be honest, right? For an entire city to agree on a new color. So when it comes to changing actual legislation that's important and making government and making your government fear the people to get legislation changed, this is what you're up against. There's too many of us to come to an arrangement, and for me, it just seems like a well laid out plan that's been decided many years ago. But we're kind of getting off topic, tinfoil hat time. But yeah.
I was just gonna segue into another thing because you mentioned the illusion that we live in, and remembering the Snapchat discussion on the previous Friday, and I saw some posts on my Facebook by a friend of mine. And she used the gender swap thing. Yep. And I was like, there's no fucking way this is real. There's just no fucking way that this is a real thing. I mean, it didn't look one single bit like her. And the picture, I mean, if you make a video, it's probably noticeable, but the picture didn't look fake, man. The picture looked real. Yeah,
I had the same thing. One of my community members out in America sent me an Instagram video, and I thought it was a man, right, using the baby filter. And I was like, you don't look like a baby at all. You look like your fucking self. You look like a man. And it wasn't. It was like a middle-aged woman, right, using the man app, right? The man filter. And I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, whoa. Like, whoa. So now that we get into the gender swap and we're out of like the deep fake child porn filter realm, and now we're
gone?
No, it's still bouncing around, but we're now in the weird area of the sextortion between adults, the catfishing, and all that kind of stuff that can go on. Like it gets serious. It can get real fucking serious, man. Especially when
I have long hair. I can literally just take not my phone is old as fuck. My phone is 6 years old, and not only is my phone 6 years old, the model of the phone is probably like 10 years old or some shit.
Yeah, you gotta hold on to that though, man. You gotta hold on, you know?
So basically, I'm not going to use Snapchat because I can't. The phone doesn't take it. But if I just fucking take a shower, brush my hair, take a nice little picture, go with a fucking gender swap application, and there I am. Hey, you want nudes? Pay me $10. There you go.
Crazy, man. It's crazy. And seemingly, like I only use Snapchat and these things as business tools for keeping in touch with the community, right? So I'm honestly, I feel like a 90-year-old man trying to figure out Snapchat when I'm on there. Like, just put buttons on it. Don't make me swipe shit. How am I going to know to swipe shit if it doesn't say, hey, swipe this shit? It doesn't say. But I watch my daughter who's 18 and it's like her finger is like a lightsaber, right? And it's like she's battling fucking Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, just... I mean, it's crazy. And I can handle it. I'm there. You know, I'm not a complete dumbass, but there's been many an occasion where I've like went to take a Snapchat and, you know, it hasn't worked and I have to redo it and I have to redo it again, or the camera's around the wrong way, or there's been a lot of moments. But for me, they're tools, and I just don't understand but maybe it's because I do YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's what replaces my need for going on social media to swipe and scroll up and down. Like, it's just not me. It is such a waste of fucking time. I appreciate Instagram more than anything because I quite like that one image pop of creation, whether it's people into cooking or people that are into fishing or people that are in showing their arses, whatever. Everyone's in that little medium, and it's how you kind of present. I do like Instagram for that. Twitter is another one. It took me ages to figure out Twitter, man. Like, oh, I feel so old.
I'm
sometimes.
still figuring Twitter out, man.
It's just crazy. Like, but this is where we're at, man. And there's a lot of social medias that over the summer I'm going to take a dabble in just for the predatory catching factor. A few weeks ago, I spent probably 2 weeks on Discord pretending to be a 13, almost 14-year-old girl. And dude, it literally took 12 minutes after I joined maybe 20 Discord servers, took 12 minutes before somebody was asking to join me on Skype so that we could fucking take things further. I mean, it's fucked. It's fucked.
Take things further as in get nude and...
get nude. Like, literally had a Skype call with a guy, and I told him that he should be standing in his bathtub completely naked and just to wait for my call, right? Because I'm telling you, see when these fucking predators latch on to 13-year-old girl Ron, I go in their fucking heads. Like, I want to make sure that they understand that I'm vulnerable as fuck because my mum's an alcoholic. I also let them know that I'm in charge of my younger brother and sister, just in case, you know, they want to ask me to bring them into the picture. I basically let them know that I'm a young girl who's left on their own by their shitty fucking mother who drinks or whatever I decide the shittiness is going to be. And have access to my younger kids, my mum, my brother and sister and all this. Get inside their fucking head, man. Make them think they've hit the fucking gold mine. You know what I mean? Make them think that this is...
adults, right?
These are motherfucking adults.
Holy shit.
These are like, I think the youngest guy was probably 22. Oldest guy was probably 39, 40. One guy was really into the daddy-daughter shit. You know what I mean? And I played him like a motherfucking fidal. Like an actual fidal. Went onto Pornhub and got a video of just one of these standard young looking porn actresses. I don't know how old she was, 18, 19, 20, whatever, I have no idea. And just cropped out some stills from the video because she was kind of sat on a bed and made up some bullshit excuse about why it was difficult for me to take pictures and blah, 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 and roped this motherfucker in, right? And literally within 10 minutes, he's wanting to send me pictures of his fucking junk and all the rest of it. And he's going to be famous very soon, very soon. Yeah.
So there's one for us to expect.
Oh, there's three. There's three in the first episode, right? There's three in the first episode. So I was going to do 3 separate episodes, right? But then I just thought, nah, I so much prefer it when I imagine my audience sees that there's a 90-minute video there, right? And they can either watch in sections themselves or they can just settle in. And it's like 90 minutes of entertain them for 90 minutes or entertain them for an hour. Like this whole fucking 10 minutes and 5-second video bullshit is just not for me. So the new documentary is looking like it might have to be 3 parts, because I mean the plan of it this now is about 4.5 hours in total, this hardcore documentary, because of how far back we're going and how far forward we're coming, and the coverage of it all. It's going to play out like a mystery over these 3 movies and then all come together in the end where you're just like, ah! So yeah, anxiety pills. If anyone needs to stockpile anxiety pills, the documentary will be out in the summer. Get stockpiling for them for then, because it's going to be emotional. It's going to be emotional.
So is there anything that you want to say about that documentary that people might want to hear?
Oh, no one wants to hear it. I don't even want it to exist or people to have to know about it. But hardcore is something that there is a real big community on the deep web and the surface web who either, whether it's gateway style gore stuff. I'm not talking about the people, right, who are not crazy. They're on there for their own reasons and it doesn't affect them. And if they want to look at gore and carry on in their normal lives, totally fair play to you, right? It's out there. You're an adult and you're interested and your brain can handle it, whatever, right? But there's a very large community of people who have a sexual kink to any form of motherfucking suffering, whether it's kids, adults, animals, whatever. And it's interesting watching how over the decades you've gone from VHS and non-digital distribution of media, and how you always had these weird cult VHS tapes growing up. Like there was oh God, and here's where my brain goes blank again. The something death series. I can't remember what it was called. Let me Google it. Hang on a second.
Well, things that are gory, probably on VHS. I can only remember like Cannibal Holocaust,
Faces of Death. Right. So these were like half real, half fake scenes of just death for like an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a whole bunch of them. And I remember growing up, that was like the mythological VHS that all parents feared their children getting hold of. Like that was the deep web of the 80s, was these VHSs. Do you know what I mean? And even the early 90s. And that was really the only thing there was. So that was where hardcore existed, was on VHS tapes or in fucking Polaroids. You know what I mean? But as the media's changed and as the distribution capabilities have changed and as the want for it's changed, so is the production of it. And when you actually get to grips with what hardcore is and how many subsections there is, going from rape and brutal violence to people to literally kids being sawed in half, or animals being put in vices, and it is just, I just don't understand how there is so many people who are into, it's a dark and evil thing, pedophilia and child porn, right? But an even darker thing is when it's just about the suffering of the child, the fear, the suffering, the pain. It's insane, right? And that's where we kind of get onto the whole topic of serial killers' personal collections from throughout time that kind of, I feel, that started the ball rolling on these things, because there is a lot of footage of people being killed by people from serial killers and all the rest of it. Leonard Lake's one of the people that we look at in the documentary that's coming up. And, he made a lot of tapes and some snippets were released to the public and all the rest of it. And it was terrifying. I mean, he kidnapped and murdered a whole bunch of women, and his whole objective was just wanting a slave. He just wanted a woman that he could take off a shelf when he wanted her. And there is this obsession, and it's a large amount of people. It's a lot more than you'd think, who would be quite happy to just abduct someone and keep them in their basement. Now, when we start looking at the sexual side of these things, right? When it's a sexual power fetish or whatever, and let's say you've got a rape fantasy, right? Maybe you're a guy and you fantasize about raping a woman, or maybe you're a woman who fantasizes about being raped, but you're a normal individual, or as normal as you can be, right? Okay. Now, let me just take you on a journey. Let's say you're in a couple and you've got this fantasy, and you sit down with your wife and you say, "Hey, honey, I have got something to tell you, and I've got rape fantasies. I really want to do a role play one night where I rape the fucking shit out of you." And she turns around and goes, "No problem, honey. We're consenting adults. It'll be safe. It's just it's a role play bit of fun." Mm-hmm. And they go and do that. And that guy gets to vent that kink or that impulse on his wife. Give me a second. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. It's
the pollen, man. It's the pollen.
Okay. So.
Bless America.
Okay. So thank you. So that guy gets to vent that particular kink on his wife in a safe environment, right? Mm-hmm. But if his wife had turned around and said, "No, I'm not into that at all," how many of those conversations would eventually snowball into forming a rapist? You see what I mean? Where because they couldn't act it out in a safe, controlled manner, they're now going to seek it actively, right, if that makes sense. So it's an interesting one for me because I don't particularly believe that there's any correlation between BDSM and people who want to go and be serial killers or be kidnapped. But the whole kink community, man, I'm telling you, out of all of the fucking communities I've been part of, they're the most shockingly normal group of people that I've interacted with. Like, genuinely, like, married couples with fucking normal jobs with, Sunday dinners and shit. It is insane. It is insane. I've yet to meet really any super weirdos in the kink communities. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point because I've had women before tell me they want to role play being raped, and I was like, yeah, what? I mean, dude, and I feel weird because I have no experience because I'm a loving guy, man. I like, I want to make them feel good. As weird as that sounds, I am a loving guy, and I like, making them feel good. So when they say like, destroy me and shit like that, and
it's so
fuck me to oblivion, I'm like,
it's so funny because I know exactly where you're coming from, right? I can totally relate. I've been in relationships where girls have like that, and the first time it happens, you're just like, you've no point of reference. You've nothing to play back in your head. Let me just go to that rape fantasy part in the back. It's not there. It's just not there. So yeah, I completely agree.
One thing I used was because I've always been into like the biker scene, and I don't have a bike, and I'm not a biker, but I've always been into the biker scene. And because it always interests me. Before the Sons of Anarchy bullshit, it kind of made the whole deal a little bit sort of like sugar-coated, in my opinion. But if you go on YouTube, you can find a bunch of documentaries about like the real life that it was. And so these guys were aggressive individuals back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they were super aggressive. So I kind of used that a little bit. But it's like, it's never, I mean, apparently they were satisfied, so I'm cool with that. But yeah, it's a weird thing. But I mean, whatever, man, like if that makes them happy, by all means, I guess.
Dude, it never fails to amaze me just how many kinks are. I tell people to play a game where if you just pick any word, any inanimate object, like let's say cling film, and then put the word fetish after it and just turn off your adult filter on Google and just play what isn't a fetish, not what is a fetish. How many things it's harder to find things that don't have a fetish associated to them than it is to find things that do. It's fucking insane. It's insane. There's a fetish called balloonism where people get off on balloons. What? Oh yeah. Hey, listen, consenting adults, man. Whatever keeps the people inside, not fucking kids. You want to go and jack off the balloons? I'm fucking down with that. You go and have a great time. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, sure. But like,
Dude, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand people that like quiche. Okay, it's a fucking egg pie. Do you know what I'm saying? So understanding the concept of being turned on by balloons is past me. But I am not in any way taking the mickey or trying to make anyone feel silly about their kinks. We all have some crazy shit that we don't want anyone to know about. All right, for sure. We all have some mad fetish in our mind. Anyone who doesn't is either really boring or they're fucking lying. But you know, it's like people that give the furries a hard time. Okay, and I'm not talking about the percentage of furries that want to go and fuck a bunch of kids. Anyone who wants to bunch, but you can find any community in the world and say, oh, a percentage of them want to fuck a bunch of kids. If you want to dress up as a badger and your missus wants to dress up as a seagull and you want to go outside and fuck each other in the woods, who gives a fuck? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I really don't care. So for me, I only have an issue when crimes start being committed, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Right.
And
but see, there you go. You made a point that it's like, but how do you know what these individuals are going for? How do you know they just want to fuck each other in the woods and just like role play as fucking animals? How do you know? How do you know that they're not looking to get closer to kids? Because like, oh,
well, you can say that you can say the same thing about the guy who hosts the fucking junior choir at half the Christian churches around the world. You know, if we want to start pointing fingers at subsections, like, you're always going to have people that ruin it for the rest of them in every community. And, you know, you can't really take it any further than fucking kids as far as ruining something. Do you know what I mean? And when you have a weird group of people like pyro foxes and people that want to dress up as fucking seagulls, right? No, it's not, sorry, weird's wrong. That's not right. When you have a group of people that do that, the media, the mainstream media, as soon as one of something from a non-mainstream group does something like gets caught fucking a bunch of kids, it just goes fucking crazy because it's a guy in a fucking fox suit or a guy in a badger suit that sells newspapers, you know? And people think that pedophilia has increased. I think pedophilia has always been this widespread. I just think we're in a technological age where we can report it a lot faster and things can get pointed out a lot quicker. And I'm not saying that there's not maybe pedophile furry communities, but in the same way as there's probably people who are bakers who are pedophiles who are in communities. It's that widespread. There's no one group that I would point fingers at and say, well, maybe the Vatican. The Vatican are fucking like the masters of like high level employee.
Oh, man, do you know a channel called Jim Can Swim?
No, I'll check it out though.
It's basically a channel with interrogations. I find it super fucking interesting. Okay. Again, I'm really interested in psychology.
Yeah, man, that's interesting.
I never studied psychology, but I like the aspects of psychology. I like to understand what the fuck goes on.
I like background noise like that when I'm working. It's good. It's weird shit to listen to.
So basically there's an interrogation with a priest from the UK who's taken in for
fucking a bunch of kids,
for molesting a child. And the way he acts, like what the guy does with the channel is he literally just invests. He grabs every little thing, every little detail, and he mentions it as like, oh, look at the way the guy is crossing his arms. Clearly shows that he's not really confident in his opinion or whatever. And yeah, the guy is clearly guilty, man. Every single detail proves that the fucker is guilty. So, yeah, and the way he looks at the detective is with a look of disdain, like, I am a religious individual. Yeah. You got nothing on me. You know, it's like,
I just want to say, though, I mean, the Christian church, the Catholic Church get a lot of fucking harsh criticism for the amount of their religious individuals that fuck a bunch of kids. But to be perfectly honest, it's just as bad in pretty much all of the big religions. I would think at this point I just can't say you're the only ones. It's just impossible. It's just every group is completely going to have an element of it. That's everywhere. That's it, man. Like, I wish I could sit here and say, oh, I think this group is the worst group. It's really not. Like, literally the only person that I know isn't fucking any kids is me. Like, that is, put that on my tombstone. Boom. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about it. It's crazy. And
And I'm the only person who I know that it's not fucking kids, so that makes two of us.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. So it sounds like a weird attitude, and a lot. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, if you're not a parent, you don't really have to apply it that heavily to your mindset. But I got sucked into a rabbit hole the other night, and I never knew these videos existed on YouTube, right? And it was attempted and successful child and adult abductions caught on CCTV. So kidnappings caught on CCTV. And some of these videos are like 45 minutes long. And it's just like 30-second clip, 30-second clip. And see when you start seeing like the lowest, what's the word I'm looking for? The most poverty-stricken areas of the world. You'll have a CCTV camera, and on one side of the road, there's just like a field of rubbish. And then there's a road and a pavement and a line of shops. And there's just like 9 kids, like ages like 4 to 6, just fucking wandering about in pants and a vest, just wandering about. And then some woman on a moped will just drive past and just pick one up and drive off. It's like, what
the
fuck is going on? You know, what the actual fuck is going on?
See, that's a reality that I can't imagine that, dude. Man. I pretty much was raised here in this town ever since I was like 1 year old. And shit like that doesn't happen here. You know what I mean? Like this shit's so small crazy, that dude. It's, first of all, everybody knows each other. So yeah, and it's like, I mean, never have I seen anything like that. But then again, in Portugal, you did have the whole situation with the Casa Pia. I don't know if you heard about that. It was a whole group of basically an orphanage that had pedophiles taking care of that shit. People in the television business, so again, world elite fuckers. And yeah, they were pedophiles and they were taking over that shit. And
yeah, I like, you could literally just spin a globe and stop on any country and they'll have the same story about an orphanage in their country. Like that, it's that common a story. The pedophile orphanage scandal. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to talk about this subject in commonalities, how often do you hear, or how often does a story start with dun dun dun, we start off in a fucking orphanage? It's super common. It's fucking unbelievable. And do you want to hear a crazy story? This is nothing to do with the deep web. This was not the Christmas that just happened last year, but the Christmas before. Me and a friend of mine, Sam, were driving up to buy Christmas groceries or whatever. And as we're going down the street, there's this like 10-year-old boy, right, up against a wall, screaming. And I mean screaming in terror. And there's these 2 men standing in front of them. And there's people walking past and driving past. And I'm like, right, you're going to have to pull over. You're going to have to pull over. So I made him pull the car over. At the time, I had a GoPro that I took everywhere, a little GoPro Hero. So I've turned that on and I've just fucking opened the door and ran across to these 2 guys. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Filming them. And they've turned around to me and they're like, listen, we're actually staff from an orphanage down the road. He's a high-risk child who's escaped from the orphanage. And this kid is like, no, they're pedophiles. They're trying to abduct me. Blah, 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 blah. And by this time, because what tends to happen is once one person gets involved, it's like the dance floor mentality. No one's dancing, but once one person goes on the dance floor, everyone's on the dance floor. So obviously, once I'm standing there shouting at these 2 guys, and there's this kid screaming, everyone started stopping their cars. And there was this huge lorry. And I mean, this fucking huge lorry in a one-way street just stopped. And I made these guys show me their IDs, and people are starting to crowd and all the rest of it. And they're like, we're going to have to take him back because, I mean, this kid would escape from this orphanage, they were saying, and they would just go on rampages around the area. And I physically walked the entire way behind these 2 guys, all the way back to the orphanage. I made them get me a manager. I made them prove that they were employees through the manager, all the rest of it. I filmed the whole fucking thing. But nobody else had fucking stopped, man. I mean, I watched 4 people walk past this screaming child and did nothing. Nothing. And I just wonder how many times kids have been screaming and it hasn't turned out to be an escaped kid from a fucking orphanage with 2 workers behind them. Or how many times people have been told that it is workers and they've not followed the people back. I was absolutely shitting my pants, right? And the guy in the big lorry went and done the most ridiculous illegal turn and followed me down this one-way street at like 10 miles an hour because it was such a tight squeeze to make sure I was okay. But I was shitting myself, man. I was shitting myself. I filmed the whole thing, and it was the first time I was ever thankful for having a set of house keys in my pocket, and it was full on like 1980s like teenage girl anti-rape keys between the fingers tactics, you know what I mean? But it all turned out to be real. You know, the kid was sadly in an orphanage. It was sadly Christmas time. And that really fucked me up, man. That really fucked me up for a while. Just seeing how distressed this little boy was. And he obviously had problems. Obviously, he hadn't had an easy life. But that really screwed me up. And that's one thing. Like the noise of that little kid screaming is haunting to me to this day. And you know, I've watched a couple of documentaries about Afghanistan and stuff, and they've played little sound bites, even just a couple of seconds of sound bites of the beheading videos and things like this. And you know, I'm that fucking pissed me off because like I'm just not into that stuff. The noises, like even in my documentaries, if I'm going to showcase a gore video, right? I'm going to showcase a gore video. I'm looking for headers like super fast explosion death. You know what I mean? Not slow chainsaw massacre. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm going to showcase a video, it's going to be over in half a second, and that poor bastard in the video didn't know what happened. Just vapor. You know what I mean? That I can mentally deal with that. But noises and prolonging shit and it just being a human being taking power over another human being, to me, it is just, I can't deal with that. I can't deal with having to, the thought of looking into a video and looking into someone's eyes and seeing the fear and the desperation. It's too much.
That's what gets me, man. That's what gets me.
It's too much. Too much, dude. Like
the gore and shit, I'm desensitized to, like, I don't care about that. But the fear, the fear in their eyes is what gets me. Like literally. But you got a good point there, and it's really fucking sad. And you have multiple videos all over the place, even outside of YouTube and whatnot. But you have multiple videos showing off that people don't give a fuck about other people, man. It's just like, it's really fucking sad because sometimes, or some fucking day, imagine you go down the street and you have whatever, man, something happens to you and you just can't move or some shit. You're like laying there and just like, people just pass by and like, he's probably looking for attention or whatever the fuck.
It's
like,
so fucking messed up, man. And you're so right. You are so right. People are just too quick to detach from empathy. You know, for some reason, it's more important that they get to where they're going on time than it is to make sure another human being is not going to die. And you're right. There is a lack of empathy, and there's a lot of people that would just walk by. But you're talking to somebody who can't walk past a bee on the pavement if it's in distress. Like, I got to pick that bee up. I got to keep it warm. I got to take it home and give it some sugar water if I've got to. Like, I've tried to walk past the bees. I've tried. I've thought, this bee, I'm just going to walk past it. I get about 6 feet, and the guilt is just too much. I've got to go back for the bee, and it doesn't matter where I'm going. I got to take this fucker with me now. So, you know, it's weird. The concept of that just doesn't. It's not, I just couldn't fathom seeing someone in distress and not being able to do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, I just, it's so foreign.
You know, I feel like, remember the fucking YouTube bullshit with the whole, like, homeless people and whatnot, when fucking, I believe it started with a good intention, with the intention of like, we're going to help a homeless person, so might as well just make a video and maybe we make some money in the process. And they started seeing that it was making so many views, like millions of views and whatnot, in such a short amount of time because everybody was sharing the fucking videos all over the place. You saw a video of somebody helping a poor homeless person. There it goes on Facebook. There it goes on all over the YouTubes and whatnot. The reality is, I'm willing to say like 85 to 90% of these fuckers who are helping homeless people were just doing it for the fucking views.
No, 100% of them.
I'm trying to be positive.
100% of them, man. This is YouTube, yo. Like, do you remember the story of the woman who gave the homeless guy her last $20, and then she got home because she'd ran out of petrol in a bad area, and the homeless guy gave her his last money so she could go and get gas, and then she started a GoFundMe, and it went viral, and she raised like $200,000 to change this homeless guy's life, and blah blah blah. And basically,
here goes $5.
Yeah, no, like literally, it's about 2 or 3 years since this all happened. There's been multiple court cases, and the whole thing was just a fake business ploy by the 3 people to get a shit ton of money. The whole thing.
Oh,
was fake.
So the homeless guy wasn't even homeless.
Homeless guy wasn't even fucking homeless.
Oh,
and,
man.
now you don't super quote me on this, but Google it, and I'm pretty sure I'm spot on. But yeah, it's so upsetting because I was so on board with that story. I was just like, fuck yeah, homeless guy, giving this fucking woman who broke down in a bad area the last $20. And then she's like, fuck yeah, homeless guy, let's start a GoFundMe for you. And then that went amazing. And then they were like, well, do you know what we're going to do? We'll buy a house for him, and then we'll work it out with the bank and the accountant so that he's set for life. And he gets, rather than him just going and just giving a crack binge for 6 weeks, he would have a life and be sorted. So that was the whole thing. And it was just like, oh my God, when was the last time the internet made you feel that good? Charlie Bit My Finger was probably the last time. And that was like fucking, 10 years ago. So it was awesome. And then to find out that they screwed over the homeless guy, and then to find out that the homeless guy wasn't really homeless. It was like, it was awful. It was awful. It really was.
Yeah, it makes you feel hopeful because, like, she helps him, and he goes like, "Oh, you helped me, so here you go." And it's like completely shit.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh well, we've been fucked again. Cheers, internet, you fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like it does my fucking head in, man. And it's kind of made me really bitter. Like, my missus will come running over with some amazing video on Facebook of something amazing happening, and I'll just debunk it in about 5 seconds. And she's like, you are the worst. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's the same with magicians. It's the same with magicians. It's the same with videos on Facebook, like heartwarming shit. I'm just like, yeah, I would agree with you. That's a good video if it wasn't completely staged or fake.
Yeah, I am so fucking much like that as well.
It's unreal. It's like H3H3 on YouTube just did a video called Instagram versus Reality, where he looked at heavily edited Instagram pictures of models or YouTubers or influencers or whatever, and then photographs from the same day that picture was taken, unedited. And I swear to fucking God, his main point in it is, we're all fucking ugly, right? Not these girls are ugly. We're all fucking ugly. And it was insane, man. Like, the amount of physical changes that go through the editing process for a single Instagram pic. And don't get me wrong, I don't give a really mind that people do this. I'm an adult. And when I look at that, I go, fuck, that's some good Photoshop work. I used to do Photoshop work, and it's like, you can tell it. You look at it and you go, that is on point Photoshop work. Okay. But there's billions of young kids, men, girls and boys that see this, and they're so impressionable. And that's where it becomes a sad problem for me, because it fucks kids up. It really does. This belief that this is an achievable look, it's crazy, and it's sad.
That's one of the things that make me the most pissed off on YouTube, man. It's most of these fucking kids doing these live streams and shit. They're like, they want money. They fucking want money, man. Who doesn't want money in 2019, man? Everybody has phones. Everybody has computers. Everybody has laptops. Everybody has tablets. Everybody has fucking cars. Everybody has this. Everybody has that. There's a gadget for taking a piss out in the middle of the street and turning it into water. There's a gadget for going to the moon and coming. Whatever, dude. Drugs are super popular, like weed and shit like that. All the fucking trap kids do weed, so all the kids want to do weed as well. Man, it's fucking it's pure fucking lunacy. And these kids want a little bit of that as well, man, because the parents probably work a 9 to 5, both of them. They have no time for the kid to educate the kid properly.
When parents
no money. It's
when parents turn around to me and they're like, "Oh my god, the influencer, the people that influence my 11-year-old kid these days, it's terrible. There's such a bad impression." And I'm like, "Who are these influencers?" And they start rattling out YouTubers, and it's not mainstream fame; it's YouTubers. And I say to them, why is your 11-year-old got a device for long enough to know this much about these people? Like, how much time a week is your child being babysat by a fucking screen? Like, what's the issue here? Because
while I agree with you, I think it's inevitable because they're gonna go to school and gonna have the computers for school, and it's just fucking inevitable, man. And even if it's not that specific kid, it's some other kid and whatever, man. It's just like,
yeah, but
it's sad.
The problem is people who want change and adopt this attitude, it's never going to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got to be proactive. You've got to be proactive in being the change that you want to see and being the influence that you want to have around your kids, regardless of whether or not you feel like you're pissing into the wind. You know what I mean? It's, if you can create a world within a world for your kids, then do it. Like, my kid just turned 5, got his first little tablet. That motherfucking tablet is locked down. Like, he can't go on the internet. He can't even use keywords that I haven't chosen on YouTube for selecting like videos of Mario. He likes watching Mario games. There's only set keywords that he can use. He only gets hour-long intervals at a time. There's only set periods of the day where he can have that interval of time. Everything's monitored. He can't install apps. He can't do fucking anything. I fucking own that kid's existence on the internet. And that's how it will be until he fucking leaves my house, basically. Because I'm not interested in his privacy or invading his privacy, I should say. He's 5, but as he gets older, it's not a privacy thing. I really couldn't give a flying fuck about what him and his mates will be talking about. It's simply a sexual predator barrier. And that's how I sell it. It's got nothing to do with that. It's like, how important is it to you that your kid believes that you're not looking through their instant messages compared to them getting fucked by a stranger off the internet?
Man, you just reminded me of a post on Academy Awareness not too long ago, like 3, 4, 5 days perhaps. I think it wasn't Reeps, it was Valurio, however you pronounce his name. But he basically posted a conversation from a mother, or a whole article from a mother that basically found her child's phone, an 11-year-old girl, and she was talking to a motherfucking pedo, and the motherfucker was actually getting some, almost, kind of. And you see the messages, and they say like, but my mom will get me, and this and that, but it's fine, just do it. And she's like, but I don't know, it's wrong. And he keeps on persuading the little girl to the point of just like, and it's like, why is this 11-year-old girl, or I think it's not even 11, I think it's 8 or some shit. It's like, why is this girl allowed to have a fucking phone? I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was 12 years old, I had a phone. I had a fucking cell phone when I was 12 years old. The difference is, when I had a phone at 12 years old, the only thing I could do was calls and text messages. And even that fucking thing, because I had an Ericsson phone, the messages were difficult to send, I
agree.
So,
and, phone is a very loose term. Like, if I put a cell phone capability into a nuclear missile, are we just going to call it a phone? Right? Is it no longer a nuclear missile because I've put a phone capability in it? Because that's how I feel about smartphones. Because people don't realize like what you can do with a smartphone and how they can be manipulated. You're literally walking around with an HD camera, HD mic, a GPS tracker in your pocket. If you had told a government agency in the 70s that within the next 50 years people would be willing to pay up to a quarter of their fucking monthly wage for a device that allows them to be tracked, recorded, and filmed at any point, they would have pissed themselves laughing. They'd be like, no way, are that stupid. No way. But that's where we're at. And don't get me wrong, again, it's those crazy motherfuckers that run the world secretly that ruin it for us all. Technology is a beautiful thing. Progression is a beautiful thing. It's just unfortunately the person driving the progression bus is a fucking lunatic.
Mm-hmm. Data sells for too much, man.
Yeah, of course it does.
Information is a lot of money for information. Too much money.
Of course it is. It's crazy. Information has always been power, and the more that you can categorize people and the more knowledge you have on those categories, the easier it is to control and sedate a population. And believe me, nothing gives the politicians a harder dick than a passive, easy to control population. Sit in silence, gentlemen, watch YouTube, question nothing, and don't fucking question your government. That's what they want. And consume. Don't forget to consume. Whatever you do, don't stop consuming. And don't stop fearing. Fear and consumption, the cornerstones of the government.
They're getting there because, I mean, look at YouTube and, again, haunted houses, mystery boxes, deep web. It's so
much distraction to keep you from paying attention to what's actually going on.
Oh, yeah.
Until you come onto my channel, right? And then it's like, yeah, all right, there's no mystery boxes here. I'm sorry, kids, no mystery boxes on my channel.
There's a reason you get striked, man.
Yeah, there is. Fucking, they love a strike. I'm telling you though, this is a well correlated attack, because you literally have to go through the video that got me my latest strike a frame at a time, and you're talking about like 1/30th of a second. There's there's an animated naked female nipple.
Mm-hmm.
Nipple. And striked. So I've had to make some of my content private just to make sure that the channel's safe. In fact, I feel really paranoid even talking about it. Let's just make sure I haven't got any more. So I can't really upload to my main channel for the next 10 days because the strike that I got back in February runs out on the 22nd. So once that strike runs out, I'll be back to being able to do stuff again. But hey, let's... What the fuck? So
something happened?
Yeah, it's another freaking copyright issue, which is a first for me. So yeah, that's insane. But hey, listen, it's a correlated attack, and it is what it is. But what can you do? It's when you start getting popular and you start poking holes at communities that are trying to do illicit things, you can only expect a bit of backlash, and that's what I feel this is. So I'm just weathering the storm, shall we say.
All right, so Ron, sir, won't take any more of your time. This was awesome. Loved it. Hope to do this eventually at some point when you reach 1 million subscribers on the YouTubers. Okay, should be by the end of the year. I'm sure you'll be there.
Okay, I hope so.
So, any last words? Promote whatever it is that you want to promote. Let people know about your second channel so that they can go there and take a look. And
just coming to my main channel, Surviving Life. If you just stick it into YouTube, it's a big white S and a big white L. On the main homepage there, you'll see my second channel link. Subscribe to both channels. Check out the content. I've got my Red Rooms documentary, my Sextortion documentary. They're all there. Go check them out. And feel free to send me some DMs on Instagram. All my links are there for Twitter and Instagram as well. But yeah, come and check me out. And that'd be awesome. Thanks very much.
Alrighty, so all the links will be, all the links to the channel and Twitter, I'll probably put Twitter there for the sake of it, will be in the description of the podcast or the episode. And again, Ron, thank you so much for joining me, man. It was a lovely time. And again, I hope we can do this eventually at some point. And thank you for having me in your live stream, by the way.
Very welcome, and thank you for having me on your podcast. It's been awesome.
Alrighty then. So, thank you very much for listening, everybody. And I'll see you guys on the next Tuesday. Bye-bye.